Lusail Stadium. December 18, 2022. 90,000 people packed in, half the planet watching at home, and for about 70 minutes it looked like the most one-sided World Cup final in years. Then it became the wildest 90 minutes football has ever produced. And somehow, that's still an understatement. Let's set it up properly, because if you only remember the ending, you're missing why this match will get talked about for the next 50 years. Argentina came in as the sentimental favorites, and not just because of the shirt. Lionel Messi, 35 years old, playing in his fifth and almost certainly his last World Cup. A generational talent who had won basically everything in the game: league titles, Champions Leagues, Ballons d'Or, except this one trophy. The one that actually decides the debates. The whole tournament had built toward one question: could he finally get his hands on it, at what everyone assumed was his last real shot? There was extra weight on it too. Argentina had lost their opening group game to Saudi Arabia, one of the biggest shocks in World Cup history, and had to win every single match after that just to stay alive. So by the time they reached the final, this wasn't a team cruising through on talent alone. They'd already had one near-death experience in this tournament, and clawed their way back from it. France, meanwhile, were the defending champions, chasing something almost nobody manages. Only Brazil, back in 1962, had won back-to-back World Cups. Kylian Mbappe, 23 years old, already a World Cup winner from 2018 as a teenager, was trying to help France become just the second team ever to do it. Two of the best players alive, on opposite sides, in a winner-takes-all final. You couldn't script it better if you tried. And for a while, it looked like Argentina's story was going to write itself with almost no drama at all. Messi opened the scoring from the penalty spot in the first half, cool as ever, sending the goalkeeper the wrong way. Then Angel Di Maria, who'd been Argentina's most dangerous player on the night, won a second penalty, and finished a flowing team move to make it 2-0 himself. Argentina were 2 goals up, dominating possession, playing some of the cleanest, most confident football of the entire tournament. France, for long stretches, simply couldn't get out of their own half. Commentators were already talking about a coronation. Some fans in the stadium had started leaving early, assuming the result was decided. It wasn't. Didier Deschamps made a triple substitution late in the second half, bringing on fresh legs, and the entire final flipped on its head almost immediately. Mbappé scored twice in under 2 minutes, a first-time finish from just outside the box, then a penalty moments later, and suddenly a procession was a football match again. 2-2, Argentina, who'd been cruising, looked stunned. You could see it in their faces on every replay. Extra time arrived, and Messi restored the lead, poking home a close-range rebound after the goalkeeper had made a save that looked destined to end the game right there and then. Argentina fans everywhere started celebrating early, sure it was finally over. They shouldn't have. Mbappé wasn't finished. Deep into extra time, he completed an actual hat-trick from the penalty spot after the ball struck an Argentine defender's arm. 3-3. A World Cup final, level, with barely any time left on the clock, and one player had scored 3 goals in a match his team should have lost by halftime. Since nobody could be separated after 120 minutes, it came down to a shootout. And there, finally, Argentina found their nerve. Goalkeeper Emiliano Martinez, who had spent the whole tournament talking a big game about exactly this scenario, made a crucial save low to his right. France's Kingsley Coman and Aurelien Tchouameni both missed, and Argentina converted enough of their own to win the shootout 4-2. Lionel Messi had his World Cup. Argentina had their third star, their first title since 1986, ending a 36-year wait for an entire nation. And Mbappé walked away with a hat-trick in a World Cup final and still lost, something that had genuinely never happened before in the tournament's history. Here's the part that makes this match different from every other great final. Normally a final is remembered for one moment, one goal, one save, one mistake. This one had about 6 moments that would each be the biggest story of any other final on their own. 2 Messi goals plus a decisive shootout appearance. A Mbappé hat-trick from the losing side. A goalkeeper who talked himself into pressure, and then delivered under it. A 35-year-old legend finally completing the one thing missing from his career, on what everyone understood was his last real chance. It wasn't just a great game. It was almost too much football for one night to hold, and by the end nobody watching had anything left in the tank either. Messi won the Golden Ball as the tournament's best player. Mbappé won the Golden Boot as its top scorer, finishing with 8 goals, 3 of them in that final alone, which is its own historical footnote. Argentina's players lifted Messi onto their shoulders in the traditional black bisque robe he'd been given before the trophy presentation, an image that went around the world instantly. Millions turned out for the team's open-top bus parade through Buenos Aires days later, one of the largest public gatherings in the country's history. And somewhere in France, a 23-year-old who just scored a World Cup final hat-trick had to process losing anyway. Mbappé didn't get a fairy tale ending despite arguably having the single greatest individual final performance of any losing player ever. That's football. It doesn't care how good your individual night was. It only cares who's still standing when the last penalty goes in. Was this the greatest World Cup final ever played? A lot of people who've watched every final since 1966 will tell you there's genuinely no argument left to have, that this one settled it. Others will still make the case for 1970 or 1998 on pure quality of football throughout. But nobody who watched Lusail that night is forgetting it, and nobody's arguing it wasn't the most dramatic.